Sitting there listening to a coach tell my child to lie.
Are you brain dead? Excuse me? And he goes, are you brain dead?
They are going to hell if they do.
Are they producing winners?
We don't need to lie on a pageant application.
Hello, you guys, and welcome to another episode of Pageant Mafia.
Yay!
We are having so much fun doing this, you guys.
Love your hat.
Thank you. It is from Raising Royals.
Of course.
My dad said he needed one. If y'all can't read it, it says not
Your
flirting,
dad definitely needs
just
one of
hot
those.
and talking, you know. But we do have a lot to get to today.
Yes,
so
we do.
If you want to hear it, go ahead and subscribe and join the Mafia family. So, Mom, take it away. You can start with it.
Okay, we are going to talk a little bit today about pageant coaches. I know on a few episodes we have hit talking about pageant coaches, but not in detail.
Right.
And one thing that we did hit on our first episode is everybody needs a coach.
Yeah, for
Okay?
sure.
You know, it's almost like going out to play baseball, but nobody taught you how to put your glove on, or nobody taught you how to catch a ball or hit or bat. How do you know how to stand in the batter's box?
Right.
You have to have some type of training.
And foundation.
There is so much more to pageantry than walking across the stage and being pretty. We've talked about that. But you have to find the right pageant coach for you, and that may be a multitude of coaches. And it may be one. It may be just whatever you need it to be. But I know as a mom, finding a pageant coach that meshes good with your daughter is very important. Moms, do a little research. Number one, find out what experience the coaches have. What is their resume? Why are they a coach?
Right. What's their success rate?
Yeah.
Are they producing winners?
Did they compete in one? Now, I will say this. Let me say this. Not all great coaches were great in the field themselves. You could have an amazing football coach. I'm sure there's a lot of coaches in the NFL that did not play professional ball.
Right.
Okay? So I'm not saying you have to be a great football player to be a professional football player coach. Mm-hmm. You can possess skills or learn skills in this industry and be a fabulous coach without being a contestant. But flip side, you cannot enter and win your high school pageant or your local fair pageant where there was 2 contestants and you won, so you're a pageant coach.
You have to have experience somewhere.
Right, you training.
Right.
There is an expertise in this field. Now, granted, if you compete in 100 pageants and you've learned from experience, I'm not saying that's not enough. But you've learned from a multitude of coaches in order to be a good coach. And do your girls win? Are they happy? Are your girls scared of you, or do they respect you? Because I can tell you being scared of you and respecting you is 2 different things.
For sure.
My employees at work, I would hope, respect me, but they're not scared of me.
Right.
They can talk to me. Scared doesn't make respect. If anything, scared makes disrespect.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So do your homework and know about your coaches. Are they trustworthy? Are they honest? Do they uplift your girls? And you know, I'm not saying it's all about looks, but how do they present themselves to your daughter? Are they well-groomed? Are they cared for?
Or do you, don't get me wrong, I love comfy and cozy, and sometimes I look homeless, okay? But if I'm comfy and cozy, I'm great. However, if I'm going to a business meeting, if someone is paying me for a service, I'm not going to show up with my hair in a messy bun, in a t-shirt with stains all over it, and sweatpants or shorts that I have no business wearing either. I'm going to look appropriate, and I'm going to look well kept.
And not trying to teach modeling in a pair of bedroom shoes.
Right, yeah.
You know, whoever you're going to should be well put together and at least have an idea about what they are doing. And they should make the girls feel good.
Right.
You know?
And I do have a few stories that I want to share just about coaches that I have been through. And I will say I probably kept 2 to 3 coaches for runway, for interview. There would be different things that I would need different coaches for. I do feel like if you get too many coaches, you can get too many opinions. It is important
too much conflicting information.
Make sure that if you do have multiple coaches, that everyone's thought process is aligning. But when you are coaching, I've never been a coach before. I know you have had a modeling school, but there is a difference in coaching and training and just being straight up mean, disrespectful, and pulling someone down. There's a few coaches that come to my head that they want to pull you down, then rebuild you and take credit for that rebuilding process, even though they were also the ones that tore you down. I remember one pageant coach, we were in a mock interview, and the mock interview was maybe 2 minutes, and halfway through, he just stops the timer. And I look at him, I'm like, okay, like, what's going on? Are you brain dead? And I'm like, excuse me? And he goes, are you brain dead? The things that you are saying, you sound brain dead. Okay, no, I'm not brain dead. This is just how I interview. And I was so...
And you were very young.
Yes, I was young. And also, while I was young, I had another coach that was a guy. Maybe I just don't mesh well with guys. Well, I can't say that because there is 2 guy coaches that I do love. Yeah. But this other pageant coach, Mom and Mr. Darrell were sitting in the back room. First of all, I felt like he was more interested in Mr. Darrell than he was interested in coaching me, 1. And 2, he asked me, he was like, what do you like to do for fun? I was probably 10, 12. Maybe. I was a preteen.
You were not 12 yet.
No,
you were younger.
But I was like a preteen age. And he was like, what do you like to do for fun? And I was like, play with dolls. Like, I mean, what does a normal 10-year-old like to do?
Actually, you said you like to...
I said I like to play with dolls and help my mom...
design dresses.
Yeah, at her store and to design dresses. And this man... like slams his hand on the table over and over again. He's like, no, 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 no. You do not like to do that. What did he say?
He said, you like to read.
Yeah, yes. He was like, you like to read. If you want to be successful, you read. I do not like reading. Still to this day, I do not like reading. However, I still feel like I'm a very successful person.
I mean, straight A's in your... about to graduate with your associates at college before going on in your bachelor's with a degree, and you're a straight A student. So, yeah, I think you can read when you need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just like...
I think it's okay. I love to read. Okay. I love reading. But I'm okay if you don't love to read. Some people don't love to read.
But my issue with that is... 1, I'm a child and you are being extremely rude to me. And second of all, he is telling me who I am supposed to be. He asked me who I was, and I told him, and that wasn't good enough for him, so he wanted to change who I was.
Right. And then we had to drive 3 hours home, and you sat in the back seat, and you cried all the way home in the back seat. I mean, you cried all the way home. And really made your Uncle Darrell mad. And then all the way home, Darrell and I are trying to figure out different activities that you can do to make you more interesting, because we were convinced you were not interesting enough, because all you wanted to do was maybe play with your dolls and design dresses. Right. And that was not, well, kids didn't design dresses. Right. But you've never been a kid. You skip that part kind of by choice, and that's what you like to do. Right. So it's a learning curve. Now, I will say this. You do not need a men choir as a coach. Right. You need a coach to say, this is not the way it should be done. No, I'm going to challenge you in an interview. I'm going to ask you questions you may not know. I'm going to ask you questions about yourself where you can learn who you are.
Or maybe, hey, I don't like that answer. Let's try it this way. Right. What do you think about this? I just don't like the pageant coaches that try to change who I am. Let's
Absolutely.
redefine and maybe reword who I am.
But it needs to be the truth. We don't
Right.
need to lie
Right.
on a pageant application.
So, I have to tell you guys this story because it is 100% facts. And still to this date, I don't even know if this person knows this.
She may not even know that we know that this happened.
I know. So, I competed with this one girl in a national pageant, and her and I had the same pageant coach at the moment. And my aunt.
But you were not the favorite.
Right, but I wasn't the favorite. This was the one I got disqualified from. But we had the same exact coach. I was not the favorite. And my aunt, at the moment, she was, an RN? What was all of?
She was in nursing.
Yeah.
She was in Atlanta. She was an RN. But.
And she was at this person's house. And they started talking. This pageant coach told this girl to completely take her best friend's identity and to put that on a pageant application. And the girl ended up finding out, and my aunt was at that girl's house when she found out that her best friend took her identity and put it on a pageant application, and that this coach told her.
Yeah.
To do that.
Yeah, to lie.
Right.
She took her best friend's life and made it hers.
Right.
And she was told to do that by a pageant coach.
And my aunt knew this family and knew this girl, and this girl was devastated because her best friend just basically took her life. And also this same pageant coach. But this is the thing, okay? The pageant coach that made that girl's bow to completely lie, she also told us, she was like, you need a good story in interview. You need a lie. And this is her talking. My lie was that I got bit by a shark. Okay, can we at least make this a believable lie? If you are a liar and if you want to lie, let's make it believable.
I mean, I'm sitting there and I said, show me the bite mark. I want to see.
It to me.
Oh my God, could you see the shark? Because dumb me, dumb blonde, hello. I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, she got bit by a shark.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Girl,
and
there was no fish in the water.
No.
Okay?
And my thing that just threw me for a loop is, you are lying. That is not you at all. This is 100% make-believe. And she was telling me this story. She was like, okay, what's your lie going to be?
Yeah.
She's like,
just lie. You've got to be interesting. We've got to make up something about you. And I'm sitting there listening to a coach tell my child to lie.
Right.
And if you lie to win a pageant, did you win or did your coach win?
Right.
And she won unfairly and dishonestly. Mm-hmm. What?
Right.
How does that work? You tell a teenager to tell a lie. But mind you, they can tell a lie that they've completely fabricated out of the air with no background to it whatsoever. Mm-hmm. But they dang sure better not hold a vape in their hands because they are going to hell if they do.
Right.
So, come on.
Let's make that make sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
It makes no sense at all.
It's just crazy that these pageant coaches feel like that's okay.
Yeah.
And
not all of them, guys.
No, not all
We're
of them.
talking about the bad stories.
Right.
There's a dozen good stories.
I have. There was this one pageant coach. At first, I was a little shaky because I didn't know if I liked them or not. And he sat down with Mom and I and was like, I would like for her to have not like voice lessons, but he was just like, she sounds way too country. Y'all need to work on that. And at first, I was a little offended by it because I was like, that's just who I am. But later, I understood because he was coming from a place of me wanting to get better and things that he noticed that other people might find distracting. He was not saying that I wasn't good enough, or he wasn't saying that I wouldn't be successful. He was saying, hey, this is just a little thing that I think you need to work on. And now I respect that. And to be honest, I used to sound way more countryer than I sound right now.
You used to sound a lot more like me. And I kept mine. I had the same thing. When I was Mrs. Georgia going to USA, I had a pageant coach in Atlanta, and I absolutely loved him. He was amazing, and he was my coach. And he actually worked at a place called Bonnie's in Atlanta, who they were the pageant gurus of the industry at that time. And I worked with a guy's name is Roy. Absolutely adored Roy. He told me the same thing. He said, you need a diction coach. You need someone to work with you on your voice, your enunciation. You're too Southern. You're from Georgia. Well, I tried to go to one, and I really did work, but it's really hard when you live in South Georgia and that's all year round. When I went to the national pageant, one of the judges happened to be from Georgia. The other one was from Texas. And they loved my accent.
Right.
And, my whole thing is I'm from Georgia. I'm not from New York.
Right.
I do have a Southern accent, but that's who I am. Right. But the coach that gave you that advice, it was from the heart.
Right. And you can
and they were wanting to help you.
Too.
Right.
It wasn't like...
That's right.
No one needs to go in an interview sounding like a redneck or sounding like you just got out of, I don't know, mud, grass, and cows, like, yeehaw. Like, okay, no one wants to hear that in an interview, but he was just trying to say there is a difference in being Southern and being a redneck.
Right.
And you do not want to sound like a redneck. It's okay to still sound Southern, but let's put a professional notch.
Right, and don't take us where we're not going. We love a good redneck. Hey, we love a good redneck. We are from South Georgia. We love them. We're not saying we don't love them. We just don't want to sound like one when we're in an interview.
Right.
So, but you had a lot of good advice. We had, we also found the Chris's and the Britneys, and Amanda was such a loving, wonderful, caring coach when you were younger. And, there's so many more. Gerald Odom, he was phenomenal. You worked with Jorge some. There's a lot of people that you worked with that would bring something amazing, and when you worked with Lou always lifted you up. Lou always made you feel good about yourself.
The difference in all of those coaches that you just named, if you are a pageant girl and if you are listening to this, you probably just recognize every single one of those names.
Probably.
Because their name is out there because they are amazing coaches that genuinely love their girls and want them to succeed. It's not the coaches that try to live through you because they were never successful in pageants.
Absolutely.
And I know that sounds really harsh, you guys, but there are some pageant coaches that only want to be pageant coaches just so when you receive a crown, it feels like they're also receiving that crown and banner.
Right. They're trying to receive something that they really, they may have won some pageants here or there, but they really want to win, not because they want to be so happy for you. When they rush on stage to hug you, let's be real. They probably just want their picture made. They're not really excited that you're having your picture made. That's the difference with these pageant coaches. You can keep it real, or you can go with someone that is going to create the person that they want created, not what you are.
Right. And I also had this other coach. I want to say the question was something like, what's something that you are most proud of? X, Y, Z, you know how that goes. And just a little background, I do have nice things. But something that I've done is if I really want something nice, for example, I have a Gucci belt. Mom was like, why don't you save up your money and buy a Gucci belt? Because that is something that's going to mean something to you because you've saved up for this item and you're going to feel good about
that
yourself.
Was your first big girl purchase, buying something extravagant that mom wasn't willing to pay that much money for something so trivial to me or to society, but you love fashion and it meant something to you.
Right. So normally what I do is like once every 6 months, I still do this, and I did this even when I was a teenager or a like younger tween. I would find something that I really want and I would start saving up for that. That is just what I do. That's what I did then. So this coach was asking me about that, and I was saying that I was glad that I had the determination to save money as a young teen to get something special for myself. He threw his feet up on the counter and propped his feet up and put his hands behind his head. And he was like, yeah, you like my new red bottoms I just got? This was the same coach that was more worried about Mr. Darrell than he was worried about coaching me. And I looked right at him. It might have been a little disrespectful, but at this point, I was so over it. I was like, yeah, I just saved up and bought myself a pair too. Like, stuff like that, I just felt like that was very boastful. And with that specific coach, he wanted to talk more about himself than me. And he still does that even to this day.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It goes back to the coaches. Are you coaching because you want to see the girl successful? Or are you coaching for self-recognition? Right. Why are you truly coaching? And
I have a story, girl.
Okay, go ahead. You tell your story.
So I was second runner-up at Georgia Teen USA. And then I went to the Miss competition because with the Georgia South board that I was a part of when I was second runner-up at Georgia Teen USA, we always go to support the Misses, of course. This coach walked up to me at the Miss. You seriously can't tag me in your thank you post? Do you remember that?
I do remember that. We were in the auditorium, and she was mad with you, and you had not really even made a thank you post yet, but she wanted one right then. Right.
She was like, you can't tag me right now. Like, why didn't you? Babe, I'm sorry, it's not about you. It's about me and what I just accomplished. Now, granted, so thankful for all the coaches that helped me. I would not be.
But it wasn't just her. Right. At that pageant, your main coach was there, and you had actually worked with her and talked to her, and she prepped you for the top 5 question and was there supportive. And forgive me, but I will even name drop on people. Brittany Eskew was in your corner the entire time.
She was the one that was messaging me during finals, and she was like, Ashlin, you need to be prepared for a top 5 question. I was like, Miss Brittany, like, I'm 15. Like, I'm good. And she was like, Ashlin, I'm serious. Like, you can do it. Like, you need to start preparing right now. And sure enough, she knew.
Top 5 question.
Top 5. I was like, okay, Miss Brittany prepared me for this moment. I got it. And
but then the other coach that you may have worked with for an hour here and there.
She was probably rooting for another girl. We're trying to figure out what she could turn in to hurt me. Let's be real there. But also I remember Taylor was there too. So y'all, I like never done an on-stage question. I was freaking out. And I remember looking at Taylor in the audience. She was like, Ashlin, calm down, calm down, calm down. And Taylor is just like a mentor and someone that has helped me a lot in business and in pageantry.
For those of you that don't know who Taylor is, she was Taylor Jones. She's married now, and she had the tiny closet, and she was a huge inspiration to Ashlin when Ashlin decided to get into the fashion industry and open up her boutique. Taylor was a mentor to Ashlin. Ashlin met her at International Junior Miss, which we absolutely loved that organization, stellar organization. Taylor was a queen at that time, and she was this little tiny blonde that Ashlin looked just like. So they kind of bonded, and then all these years later, we're still very close to her. But she was a mentor to Ashlin and a true champion in the pageant industry.
Right. So. Yeah, you can find true friends in pageantry and coaches that truly value you. And you guys, it just goes back to doing your own research. And I think I have said this in a podcast before, but I mean, message me. Message mom. Say, hey, do you know about this pageant coach? I had a girl not too long ago. She messaged me and was like, hey, I'm wanting to start to take pageants more seriously, but I need some good coach recommendations. Who do you recommend? And I gave my recommendations. And we've also said this before. I mean, what we are saying, it is just our opinions. Y'all can take it. Y'all can leave it. Feel free to ask us questions if you don't like our answers. I mean, you don't have to use those certain people, or you don't really have to care what we say. Right.
And you know what? Earlier, when I was naming coaches, I am in no way saying those are the only good coaches out there. I can name a dozen more
just who I've used.
Wonderful coaches that we've heard wonderful things about. We just haven't used them. So I can tell you, I can think of half a dozen in the Florida area that are fabulous coaches. I can name other coaches that have called me, messaged me about coming here, and that have been at different events that we have not been able to book with that we probably would have enjoyed. I am no way saying those are the only good coaches. I'm just going on our experience. I'm not sitting here telling you what we heard, what we think, what we might know. I'm telling you what we experienced. I'm telling you the good experiences and the bad. And then you decide what works for you. You might work with a coach that you absolutely love that Ashlin couldn't work with at all. Or the other way around. There are many, many good coaches out there. Stick with the coaches that build you up. That's all I can say. The good ones are the good ones. Stay away from the bad ones.
Yep. If a coach tells you that she got bit by a shark, run.
Especially if she can't show you the bite mark.
Run. Okay? But you guys, that's the end of this episode. I hope y'all have enjoyed it. And just a reminder, y'all, do the research, open your eyes, ask questions, and we will see you guys next time. Peace.
Bye.